What's going on, everybody? Welcome to DFS by Cage, episode 10, where I break down my six-fighter lineup for UFC Vegas 44, which will be this Saturday at 7 p.m. on ESPN Plus at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. I am hyped for this fight card. We just had a week off, so now we're back with the MMA scene back around after the Thanksgiving holidays, and I'm here to bring you my six-person lineup, of course, for UFC Vegas 44. But before I do that, as always, I'm your host, D-Bake of Cage by IQ, the best place for MMA content. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch at the handles to the left. Please subscribe to the Fighters First Network on YouTube that we're a part of. Smash the like button and hit the notification bell so you never miss any of the content that we put out, especially for this show, DFS by Cage. And of course, hit us up in the comment section. Let us know what you think of this video, and let us know who you're going to use in your six-person DFS lineup this Saturday night for UFC Vegas 44. But before we get started, as always, you know the rules. Of course, 6 fighters in your lineup, you get $50,000 to spend on all your fighters. I usually start from the least expensive to the most expensive when I break down. But let's get started with my lineup here. The first person I'm going to use this Saturday is going to be Jeremiah Wells. He is that Daniel Gracie trainee that's coming in his first fight. He had a nice knockout, as you see right here. He is 9-2-1. His FPPF, which is average fantasy points per fight, is 96.4. I don't know how he's this cheap. He's one of the cheapest guys at 7,200, at 7,100, which is crazy. Considering in his last fight against Alves, he went 2 rounds and he got the knockout, and he had over 100 points in that fight. He's the type of guy who can wrestle. He can knock you out. He has heavy hands. And I think this is a perfect matchup against Jake Matthews. For some reason, Jake Matthews is the heavy favorite for some reason. But in his last fight, if you think about it, he lost to Sean Brady pretty handily. Sean Brady had over 100 DFS points in that fight, and Sean Brady is teammates with Jeremiah Wells. So I feel like Jeremiah Wells is going to pick his brain, ask Sean Brady what he did, what he needs to do, and he's going to incorporate the info he gets from Sean Brady into this fight. I can see a couple of takedowns. I can see him hitting with a lot of strikes, and I do see him finishing Jake Matthews in round 2. So he's going to be, for the price tag of 7,100, he's going to be a big time plus for your lineup. I think he's going to be owned in a lot of lineups because of where he is and the potential that you have here. So with my first person in my lineup, I got Jeremiah Wells at 7,100. So put him in my lineup there. You can see him right there to the right. Now you got the next person in my lineup. I got one of my underrated pickups, which is Mackie Pitolo with the price tag of 7,600. If you look at Mackie Pitolo right there, of course he's 13-8. He averages only 49.6 FPPF per fight. In his last couple of fights, as you see there, he's gotten losses by sub decision and sub to Marquez, Impa, and Stewart. He did beat Bird round 2 knockout, and then he lost to Potter in round 3. And the win that he won by knockout, he got over 101 fantasy points for DFS in lineups. I think this is going to be a perfect fight for him to get back into the win column. You can kind of say that he was beating Julian Marquez, who is on the rise in the UFC right now. Since coming back from that 2-year layoff, Marquez has 3 wins since then. But you could say that Mackie Pitolo was a win that fight until he tired out and got subbed by Marquez late in round 3. As you see there, he had 70 strikes. He had 5 takedowns. That's going to be a thing with Mackie Pitolo. He's a wrestler. He's going to take you down, control you, and do quite a bit of ground and pound. And against his opponent in Dusko Kodorovic, who is a tall guy and has a long neck, he's going to be able to be taken down by a much smaller guy in Pitolo. Pitolo is going to use that to his advantage. I could see him taking him down 3 to 4 times, control him on the mat, do some ground and pound, and pick up that decision victory over Dusko. And I could see him get anywhere from 75 to 90 points for you with this. He's not anybody flashy. He's not going to do anything crazy. But in this lineup this week, it was kind of hard for you to pick. And I feel like he just has that matchup advantage over guys like Clay Guida. You got Zumba Guloff, William Knight, and even Vince Morales and Brad Liddell. I feel like he has that advantage because he's going to be able to get a lot of takedowns. I could see him with 4 or 5 again in this fight. So with the second person in my DFS lineup, I got Mackie Pitolo with the DFS price tag of 7,600. With the third person in my DFS lineup is my sleeper pick going into this Saturday. It's Claudio Puelles with a DFS price tag of $8,000. If you look right here, he's 11-2 in his career. He has the nickname El Nino, and he's going up against Chris Grutzmacher, who in his last fight went to war with Rafael Garcia, and Grutzmacher came back and won. Grutzmacher is a guy that takes a lot of damage, so I can see Puelles, who's more known for his grappling, to actually hit him with shots. But I think the majority of his work is going to be on the mat, as you see there in his past 2 fights, which he has won by the decision. He has 4 takedowns with over 10 minutes of control time. And then he has an average of 85 strikes, with a lot of them ground and pound. And then he also has a round 3 sub of Silva, where he had 2 takedowns. And then he did lose to Bravo in 2016 in round 2, but he still had 1 takedown, 30 significant strikes, and a minute and 34 minutes of control time. But in his last 2 fights, he's upped his control time significantly with his takedowns. So that's going to be his bread and butter in this fight, is to take Grutzmacher down, hold him down, and do a lot of ground and pound work on him to limit what Grutzmacher can do on his feet, because Grutzmacher is the guy that will take a lot of damage, but he's going to keep on coming with that cardio, and he's going to just come at you when you're tired. And I think Claudio Puelles has good cardio. He wrestles and grapples well. I could see a hidden, sneaky situation where Puelles could get a sub in this fight, and I'm hoping that he does, because that'll be even more points. But I see him getting anywhere from 25 to 30 significant strikes. I see him getting 3 to 4 takedowns. I continue that trend of multiple takedowns like in the last 2, and I could see anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes of control time with probably 60 ground and pound strikes. So he has the sneakiness to get you all the way up to 100 points just for doing all that. And I'm gonna say around 80 to 100 points there. But this is my sneaky pick, and I'm telling you now, you got to go with Claudio Puelles in this matchup because of the potential for takedowns, control time, and just ground and pound striking. And to me, he's going to get the decision victory, possibly the sub. But this is a guy that he's not flashy, but he gets the job done. And with the third person in my DFS lineup, I got Claudio Puelles with the price tag of $8,000. Moving on to the fourth person in my lineup, I got the one half of the main event this Saturday. I got Rob Font with the DFS price tag of $8,400. As you see here, Rob Font is coming in at 19-4 in this fight. And then if you look at his past fights, He's won his last 4 against Garbrandt, Moraes, Simone, and Pettis, with the lone loss at the 5 fights ago to Rafael Assunção in round 3. If you look at this, he has his significant strikes are very high up, except for the Moraes fight, which he won in round 1, but he still had 30 strikes in that with 33 regular strikes. But he's had 176 significant strikes against Garbrandt. He had 90 against Ricky Simone, who's more of a wrestler grappler. And he still had over 100 strikes in that fight just in general. He had 111 against Pettis with 2 takedowns and over 5 minutes of control time in that to go with it. And then he even in the Sunset fight, I think he was very young and he wasn't sure what young and timid in that fight. And I feel like from there on out, he learned from that fight and he's become a different fighter there, and that's why you see the numbers just pop up out you there. Like he's had 3 of the 4 fights where he's gotten at least 1 takedown, and I think he's going to use that in this fight. I think going up against Jose Aldo. I think Jose Aldo is going to be pretty good against the takedowns, so I don't think he's going to try that too much. I think he might shoot him for 1, maybe 2, just to throw in a different look in the fight, but. In this, of course, I got Rob Bont by a decision, but he's going to pour in a lot of volume in this 5-round fight. I think the fact that it's 5 rounds, it's going to be similar to the Cody Garbrandt fight where he has over 150 to 170 significant strikes. He might get a takedown. I think if he does, he'll have like 1 minute to 2 minutes of control time, and then he's going to have over 200 total strikes. So I think Rob Bont has the potential to get you anywhere from 100 to 120 points on your DFS lineup, depending on if he can get takedowns or not. I think the fact that he's goes for takedowns is going to be nice, but I think the realistic situation here is I think he's going to get 105 points here because of all that significant strikes. You can pull in a lot of strikes, but it's the significant strikes that are going to be the big ticket here. And with 5 rounds, he's going to be able to get that extra 2 rounds in to do work. And that's why I'm going with Rob Bont here because of the amount of volume he's going to put in because he keeps throwing that jab early and often. And he's going to keep moving around. He has the cardio, and that's why he's the favorite in this matchup. The movement and the jab, and I could see him challenging to get that 200 mark in this fight. But of course, with the 4th person in my DFS lineup, I got Rob Bont with the price tag of 8,400, averaging 83.7 FPPF in DFS lineups. With the 5th person in my lineup is probably the most used person in DFS this week, in my opinion. It's Jimmy Croot with the price tag of 9,200. As you see here, you got Jimmy Croot, who's coming in 12-2 with the average FPPF of 82.4. Of course, in his last fight, he lost to Anthony Smith by doctor stoppage. He was looking good in that fight. He had 18 strikes and 3 takedowns, and with 2 minutes of control time. But of course, he got kicked in the nerve, and it messed his leg up. He wanted to continue, but the doctor wouldn't let him. I thought had he not got kicked in the nerve, he would have added to those takedowns, and he would have been scoring big in lineups against Anthony Smith, and he would have got the win. And in the last couple fights before that, he has first round KO and sub victories over Bukakis and Alexei Luchek. He did lose by sub to Serkinov, and then he beat Sam Alvey by round 1 knockout. So he's a finish guy for you, whether it's knockout or sub. And going up against a guy in the matchup here, of course, against Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill is weak against the takedowns, and I feel like this is perfect way for Jimmy Croot to get back into the win column. He's going to get decent striking, but what I see here is a round 1 sub for Jimmy Croot. I think Jamal Hill tends to get over anxious and he gets too excited and he goes for the big shots and he's going to overextend himself and he's going to put himself in a position to be subbed by Jimmy Croot. I think Jimmy Croot's going to wind up jumping on him, taking him down, and guillotine him for a victory in round one. And that's why I see him getting anywhere from 100 to 120 points in DFS lineups this week. He's just a big play here. That's why he's a favorite here. The only chance Jamal Hill has in this fight is to knock out Jimmy Croot, and I just don't see that. I think he's a tough guy. He has that wrestling background, so I do see him going for a couple of takedowns in this fight too against Jamal Hill because of that weakness. And if the fight goes the distance, you might see around the same points because he's not going to get that big first round finish if he does, but he's going to get multiple takedowns. He's going to get anywhere from 60 to 80 significant strikes, and he's going to get control time plus the victory. So with the fifth person in my DFS lineup, I got Jimmy Croot with the DFS price tag of 9,200. Now, and then with the last person in my lineup, the most expensive person to go with, I got Brendan Allen with the price tag of 9,600 for DFS lineups. He's going up against Chris Curtis. This was a fight put together a couple weeks ago. As you know, Chris Curtis was the one who shocked and beat Phil Hawes when Phil Hawes was the most expensive person in DFS lineups a couple weeks ago, and Chris Curtis was the cheapest. And it was big for some owners in DFS lineups who went with Chris Curtis. I don't see that happening this week because this is a different fighter in Brendan Allen who doesn't have a glass chin like Phil Hawes. Phil Hawes was dominating Chris Curtis on the feet with the combinations and the box and throws, but he just put himself into a situation where he made one small mistake, and that's what cost him to get knocked out by Chris Curtis. As you see here in his last couple of fights, Brendan Allen has a round 3 decision victory over Soriano, where he had 68 points. He had where he had 94 significant strikes and 94 strikes total. He didn't do any takedowns. He didn't go for have any submission attempts. He just stuck to his hands and is striking for majority of this fight. So that's the one thing that you got to watch when Brendan Allen is if he gets too into his striking. But I think with this one, it's going to be a little bit more of the past with him. Like with Roberson, he had the round 1 sub where he had 3 minutes control time and he turned it into the sub. He did lose to Strickland, but before that, he did have 51 strikes, 53 regular strikes in that fight. And then it was looking good up until the point that he got knocked out. Then he had the round 3 decision victory over Dawkins, where he had 41 strikes, 1 knockdown, 4 reversals, and 6 minutes of control time, where he had the back of Dawkins, and then he had 80 strikes, and he finished with 95 points. And then against Breeze, he had the KO with 4 minutes of control time, and he had 110. And then he had Holland, where he had a round 2 sub, where he had 4 minutes of control time, 2 takedowns, 2 reversals, and he had 102 points. So you have 3 of his 6 fights where he had over 100 points, and then the 4th one he had 95, so he came close. Then he had the loss, and then the last fight he had just the striking victory where he edged out Soriano, which he used just basically his striking. I think he's going to go back to his normal against Curtis. Curtis is going to be the boxer, so you are going to see Brendan Allen strike with him a little bit, but I think he's going to play to his strengths, and he's going to try and get close in this fight. He's going to look to clinch up Curtis, get him down to the ground, and look for submission attempts here. He's going to just wear him out. And that's why I see him picking up the round 2 rear naked choke victory over Curtis here. I think he's going to throw anywhere from 40 to 50 significant strikes in his fight, maybe 60. I could see him getting 2 takedowns in this fight because I think he's just going to hop on his back and pull him down. I think he's going to have 3 to 4 minutes of control time. And then he's going to, of course, get the submission victory plus the victory. So I could see him get anywhere from 80 to 110 points in the lineup. I'm going to lean more towards 110 with the submission victory here. But, of course, with the most expensive person in my DFS lineup, I got Brendan Allen with the price tag of 9,600. As you see there to the right, you got my lineup right there for this Saturday's UFC Vegas 44. Once again, my lineup is Jeremiah Wells, 7,100, Mackie Pitolo, 7,600, Claudio Puelles, 8,000, Rob Font, 8,400, Jimmy Croot, 9,200, and Brendan Allen at 9,600. Jot that down, put that down as your lineup. I'm guaranteeing you this is the lineup to go with this Saturday night. The card will be starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time on the East Coast. If you guys are in the Central Mountain or the West Coast, jot down accordingly. If it's 7 o'clock here, then it's 6, 5, or 4 elsewhere. I'm looking forward to UFC being back. But as always, before I get going to wrap things up with DFS by Cage episode 10, here's a word from our sponsor at High Tide Herbal.
Offering high-quality, sustainable products with all-natural, lab-tested ingredients, it's High Tide Herbal's mission to help others live the longest, healthiest, and most productive lives possible. Their hemp-derived CBD products have a wide variety of uses, from helping sore muscles to skin hydration and minimizing skin irritation. They generate results based on your specific needs. Elevate your lifestyle with the new wave of wellness. Visit hightideherbal.com to learn more.
Once again, that's High Tide Herbal. All you got to do is go to www.hightideherbal.com and put promo code CAGEMyIQ10 in checkout to receive 10% off your next purchase. That'll wrap things up with tonight's DFS by Cage, episode 10 for UFC Vegas 44. I will be back next week to give you my DFS by Cage lineup for the UFC pay-per-view, which is headlined by Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira for the UFC lightweight championship. So tune in next week for my DFS lineup. But once again, I'm your host, D-Bake. This was DFS by Cage, episode 10, UFC Vegas 44. And I will talk to you guys next week. See you guys later.